Everybody's the Franz, and we're here for AEW on TNT review, the anniversary edition of this show, set October the 14th, 2020. Of course, the anniversary should have been last week, as it was the first Wednesday of the month, even though, of course, the first October 1st of last year is when AEW debuted, or I think it was October 2nd, whichever one it was. They couldn't go on there because the first and the second were on a Friday and a Saturday this year. However, that's neither here nor there. We had ourselves all, for the first time ever, every AEW championship, sanctioned championship, was on the line. With top contenders getting title matches and Orange Cassidy challenging for the TNT championship, which really doesn't have a top contender. Anybody can come out of the back and say, I want a title shot. And if Cody feels like it should happen, Cody will make it happen. With Cody being champion, if he gets past tonight's match, which we'll talk about here in a bit, and if he can get past, and after that, and anybody, if you're a babyface, I would like to see more independent talent getting shots. We got Ricky Starks out of that. Eddie Kingston were two other names that got shots that are now working for the company. It'll be great, and I hope that we get to see more of that. On top of that, I also like to see Will Hobbs, who has been signed to AEW and is getting a push, get a shot before it's too late. But we start off with FTR going up against the Best Friends, who are the number one contenders and have been the number one contenders, so I have no problem with this match. Very early on, back and forth between these two teams. This was another what they call a 20 minutes brush with greatness for whatever reason. That's what you want to go with. That's fine on TV because we don't need a 60-minute match on TV. But whoever FTR or Best Friends, which of course, did anyone think FTR was losing these tag team titles? Hell no. FTR are keeping these tag team titles until they have their feud with the Young Bucks. And even if they start their feud with the Young Bucks at Full Gear or at the next pay-per-view, I see this going, the Young Bucks and FTR going, if they don't make the match at Full Gear, which we'll talk about what's going to happen next week to see if that match happens, I can see it being at Revolution, Double or Nothing, and All Out. That is where this feud is going to go. That's my opinion. But Trent and them had a heck of a match with these guys. Good tag team wrestling. In the end, Hardwood goes for throw Trent into the ropes, and he gets humples to the mat, taking a massive beating in this match. Taylor breaks up a Goodnight Express. Trent hits a DDT on Hardwood, then tags in Taylor. Wheeler brings the title into the ring. Taylor sends him out. Hardwood shoves Taylor into the ropes, and it looks like they're going to bounce back towards the middle of the ring. So the referee ducks down and out of the way. As he does that, Wheeler smacks Taylor over the head with the title cover. 1, 2, 3. And as you would expect, FTR are your winners by any means necessary. Any means necessary. Post-match, FTR head to the stage and towards the back. Fordham returns with Miro, and he breaks up the big hug. Miro stomps away on Taylor. Release overhead suplex. Big splash in the corner on Trent. Sabian with an assisted dropkick on Trent. Miro then tosses Trent out of the floor and yells at the Best Friends. That might be a match that we see at Full Gear. Miro and Kip Sabian versus the Best Friends. Well, hopefully this entire Miro, Kip Sabian Bachelor Party thing will be over in no time. I'm just saying. But we go right into Miro and Kip Sabian versus Sean Maluda and Lee Johnson. Sean Maluda, of course, has been on AEW Dark, I believe, and he's also a former NXT, and a student in NXT, or a wrestler in NXT for a bit. He was a jobber over there. So this match doesn't take very long. Maluda charges in, he takes shoulder tackle, Sabian tags in, big crossbody off the top rope, tags Miro back in, he stomps on the back, and hits the game over, and puts him in the game over, aka the accolade, for the tap-out submission. Miro and Kip Sabian are your winners. Post-match, Sabian gets on the mic and is not happy about his arcade gaming getting destroyed. Miro takes the mic and says, "Good friends, you break my shit, game over." Even though it's the Best Friends, but it's Miro, so okay. Backstage, Lance Archer is beating up Jon Moxley, throwing punches and slamming his head against the table. Some officials show up and finally get in the way. And that's going to lead that match to becoming no disqualification later in the show, which honestly, with these two and how they have been, I am not surprised. These two should be in a no disqualification match. It makes the most sense. But Miro, a lot of people are criticizing AEW's portrayal of Miro and the fact that this guy is a hot prospect coming in. His debut with the fans there, he was over like Rover. And it just he hasn't done much. But I'm saying this to anybody who has a complaint. He just got there last month. This isn't like a Lance Archer who was winning match after match after match after match, only to lose a big title opportunity to Cody clean as a whistle. It's not the same. He's not that guy that you should be sitting there expecting him to get multiple wins and looking good as he is. He's just got there. He's winning, is he not? He won his first match. He won tonight. Give it time. He's in the middle of doing this thing with Kip Sabian. And with all the top spots and stuff are all taken right now. You're not just going to usurp somebody or a tag team to give Miro a spot that he doesn't deserve yet. Miro just got here. He will get his time when it comes. Hell, for all we know, he could be on the list of people who are going to challenge Cody or Orange Cassidy or whoever for the TNT Championship. You don't know that. He just got there. This is only his second match. Give it time. I know a lot of people are disenfranchised because the way WWE runs things, and WWE, you get 2 weeks, you have a couple wins, then you go on the losing streak. He hasn't done that yet. He's had 2 matches and has won them both. Will he be on AEW Dark? I hopefully soon, so we can see him have some matches and do stuff, but we'll see. Miro just got there. This again is only his second match in the company. Give it a break. Anybody throwing criticism that AEW is not using Miro correctly, let's talk about that at the end of the year. Give this guy some time. AEW tournament bracket has been revealed. Opening matches begin next week. The left side features Penta L0M versus Ray Phoenix, so brother versus brother. Now, this one's probably going to get a lot of interesting heat because that's going to telegraph that Pentagon or Phoenix are not going to be in the finals. Because why wouldn't you make... This feels like this should either be a match to see who goes on to win the tournament, or should be a match to see who goes on to face the other side's bracket at Full Gear. But they did not do that. Should be one hell of a match, though. Pentagon versus his brother. Holy shit. Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela. That's going to be a rematch of the Lights Out match that they had last year, I believe, on Dark. It's been a while since Kenny Omega's taken on Joey Janela, so let's see what happens there. On the other side, you have Colt Cabana versus Hangman Adam Page, and Wardlow versus Jungle Boy. Wardlow versus Jungle Boy will be interesting. Do they have Wardlow lose to Jungle Boy by some nefarious means? I can honestly see Jungle Boy winning because Wardlow mixes it up with Luchasaurus. And we get Luchasaurus versus Wardlow at Full Gear. I can just see them doing that. It's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people predicting Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page at Full Gear. And that's how they're going to do this whole thing between these two. It looks like that's the way they're going to go. If they weren't going to have it at Full Gear, then why would you not make these guys go up against each other or something in the same bracket? They're on different sides, so that tells you right there that they're going to Full Gear to face each other, most likely. Colt Cabana has no chance. Pentagon versus Phoenix should be... I think Pentagon versus Phoenix is going to be the match of the tournament until we get to the finals. I'm just saying. Those two have had battles against each other, and this is not going to be... This is not the first, and it's definitely not going to be the last between these two when they go up against each other. So I cannot wait to see Penta L0M. I'm going to say Pentagon Jr. because that's what he was known for the AAA deal probably started. I think the reason he went to Penta L0M is because AAA owns the rights to that name, Pentagon Jr., and I think the deal between AAA and AEW is either up or on hold because He did come back as Pentagon Jr., and then all of a sudden he became Pentagon L0M for some reason. Now, we move on, and MJF heads out to the ring with Wardlow. It's a big announcement. He says before he gets to it, he asks Chris Jericho to head out to the ring. Jericho, the rest of the Inner Circle, comes to the ring. The group is wearing the jackets MJF getting them. Sammy Guevara has one, but isn't wearing it. Sammy doesn't want to wear it, but Jericho yells at him to put it on. The jacket is 5XL. It looks like it would fit the Big Show. Barely, but it looks like it would fit the Big Show. Fits like a glove, little buddy. It looks great. He jokes. That's hilarious. He compliments Jericho's physique on his hair. He asks if he could touch Jericho's hair, and is he okay? He then tells MJF to cut the shit and wants to hear MJF's big announcement. He says the two biggest minute rating grabbers are him and Jericho. He brings up the Animal Planet, and he says you'll never see two primate piranhas eating each other, just like him and Jericho. They are predators, just swimming around the prey in AEW. MJF says those around them are adapting to stay ahead, they need to do the same. It takes them a while to get it out, but he says it's possible that he kinda, sorta wants to join the Inner Circle. Ortiz takes the mic and says they don't want MJF in the group. Jericho quickly jumps in and says they have to discuss things as a group, but next week he and MJF will meet for a steak dinner. They get super serious, like they're hyping up a match, and MJF says, "You're on." They shake hands, and the Inner Circle heads out. Now, the way things are going with MJF and Jericho, clearly if MJF joins the Inner Circle, he's not joining to be a follower. MJF is joining to usurp Jericho and remove him from the Inner Circle. That is obvious from day one. If you think otherwise, you're fooling yourself. MJF is going to go out there, and when he joins the Inner Circle, it's not going to be Full Gear. That's way too early. It's going to be the first pay-per-view in next year. But he's going to play nice. He's going to play coy. He's going to play good and everything, and make it and pretend like, oh, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be a good little boy, to be a follower. Me and Wardlow just want to be great followers. But then he's going to cause the breakup of the original Inner Circle. And he's going to take Jericho out, and it's going to be if it's Revolution, Jericho versus MJF probably for the leadership of the Inner Circle, with Jericho losing that match and MJF beating Jericho, and then they have a rematch at Double or Nothing. I think that's where they're going with this. Tony Schiavone is at a spa with Britt Baker for some reason. Britt Baker talks about her comeback and calls for Reba. Baker says rule number 5 to be the baddest bitch on the block. Baker then looks over and realizes Tony is naked under his towel. She and Reba scream. Tony then gets his chest waxed. Baker tells the women's division they have been put on notice. Baker scolds Tony for not being at her recent match. Tony says he gets super kicked in the face by the Young Bucks, but she didn't want to hear it, and Baker is in action next week. Did I really need to see that much of Tony Schiavone? No, I did not. Somebody just let's keep that out of the AEW, please. I don't need to see that shit. We get enough bullshit and crap like that on Raw and SmackDown. I don't need to see it on Wednesday nights. Cody with Arn Anderson and Brandi Rhodes versus Orange Cassidy, AEW TNT Championship match. A lot of people looking forward to this match just because Cody makes anybody look great, and Orange Cassidy has been impressing a lot of people. Darby Allin looking on from the stands as Cody makes his entrance. Cody is back to the blonde. He came back 3 weeks ago with the blonde hair, with the black hair, or 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. It was 3 weeks ago with the blonde hair, and kept it with black hair. Then kept it for the dog collar match, which made no sense. If he wanted to go back to blonde, he should have went back to blonde last week, because blonde hair stains in red a hell of a lot better than black hair. And there was a lot of blood in that dog collar match. So why would you not go back to the blonde last week? It would have made a lot more sense. But he's back, which everyone should have seen this coming, because he did tweet out early in the week that blondes have more fun, and that was just probably where he was going with that. The reason Darby Allin is looking on from the stands is because at Full Gear, no matter if it's Orange Cassidy or Cody, The winner of this match, or the TNT champion going into Full Gear, will defend the title against Darby Allin at Full Gear. Cody, now that just means that could this be the night that Cody, because obviously Cody's not going to lose the title going into Full Gear, because it makes more sense with Darby, because Darby and Cody have faced each other multiple times. Darby has never beaten Cody. The last time we saw Cody and Darby face each other, Darby went for the coffin drop, and Cody was able to lift his shoulder up as Darby was pulling his leg up for the pin, and Darby got pinned. So that is where this is going. So it's a really good match. Digging in, it's awesome. They did mention, of course, that Darby gets a shot at TNT Championship at Full Gear. Cody really working of Cassidy, having a hell of a match here. Now, this, along with every other match, has a time limit draw, just like any other match that isn't a lights out match, which I hope we get one of those soon, because we have not seen a lights out match in a good long while now, which is fine because they were going a little lights out overhaul like all of last year. We had like 3 or 4 last year. I think we've had maybe one this year. I'd like to see another one, maybe on Dark again, maybe on one of these shows. I don't know, but I would like to see another lights out match soon. And I know they don't want to do probably lights out matches because there's no crowd, but they do have crowd. It might not be a full house, even though they can if they want to, but I would like to see a crowd. I'd like to see a full lights out match. Cody with a double takedown locked in the figure 4. Cassidy rolls to counter the submission. Eventually, Cody rolls all the way to get to the ropes and force a break. Both wrestlers on the apron. Cassidy hits beach break on the apron. Both men fall to the floor. Referees start the 10 count, but Cassidy gets Cody back into the ring at 8, pinned by Cassidy for 2. Cody with the counter. Cassidy tries the orange punch, counter into a crossroads. No. Swinging DT, breach break, cover 2. We have less than a minute left before it considered a time limit draw. Cassidy goes for the orange punch, but no. Gets the mousetrap pin. Referee counts 1, 2. Time expires. We have, for the first time I think in 2020, or the first time in like 4 or 5 months, like 6 or 7 months or 9 months, a time limit draw. Cassidy, and this will not be the last time we see these two wrestle. I think it's the best way they went with this, for the simple fact is everything that's been going on with Cody and Cassidy. And Cassidy should not be losing like a big high profile match like this way. So I'm good with this. Backstage, Lance and Jake go to talk, but get attacked by Jon Moxley. In the crowd, Matt Hardy's with his family. Hardy announces his health is clear to return to the ring. In the background, we see up on the screen, a hooded figure light a bunch of Matt Hardy photos on fire. Camera then shows it's Sammy. Cut to Sammy, who says he was the one who attacked Hardy at All Out. Sammy says he's not going to stop until he sends Hardy home for good. Hardy says... So it looks like the Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara feud is not done, even though after the match that happened, just that last match they had, I think it was at All Out, where they had that stupid spot that could have really fucked Hardy up for a long time. I just don't want to see this feud anymore. I think Hardy needs to move on. Hardy needs to do his own thing. Sammy needs to do his own thing. I feel like Sammy's going to be the first one that you have going up against MJF or something if they do this all. I'm not sure. All I know is I really don't want to see this match. So, Private Party versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds versus The Butcher and The Blade versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Title #1 Contenders match at Full Gear. The teams were randomly picked on tonight's show and then headed to the ring where a brawl later broke out. Young Bucks superkicked pretty much all of their opponents through the segment. Comment here announces that AEW World Champion Jon Moxley will take on Lance Archer in the no DQ match. As I stated earlier, I mean, it made sense. The last time these two had a match was at Wrestle Kingdom. I think it was night 1. I believe it was night 1 or night 2. Night 1, I think. In which it was a Texas Death Match, as they called it, for, at the time, Lance Archer's U.S. Championship for New Japan Pro Wrestling. IWGP, you know. And that was a brutal, bloody match. And the way these two guys wrestle and fight, there was no motherfucking reason to do anything other than a no disqualification match. I was saying it, not on here, but I was just saying it to you, my dad, and anyone else, that this needed to be a no DQ match. It's just how these two work. But before we get to that match, we have HIkaru Shida taking on Big Swole, who was the number 2 contender last week. I did not see the rankings this week, so I'm sure she was elevated to number 1. But this is not really... I'm just going to say it now. Britt Baker has been out saying that she doesn't want us to change the channel while we watch, like, when the women are on. Just to be honest, right now, the women's division in AEW, for the people who are active, are not on HIkaru Shida's level. Nobody here is on the level of HIkaru Shida. She's just that fucking good. And it's not fair to everyone else that have to deal with it. She's good. She's great. I mean, Chris Statlander's got some. She's not all the way there. I mean, she's not wrestling right now, but she needs time, and she'll eventually be as good as them. She's great. She's good and great, but she's not to the point of HIkaru Shida. HIkaru Shida is the best women's wrestler in AEW, bar none. There ain't nobody better. Now, Ivelisse has signed with AEW officially, I guess, today or recently. She's a good piece. Hopefully they can do something with her and maybe elevate the women's division some. They really, Thunder Rosa really needs to drop the NWA Women's World Championship and then come to AEW and help elevate this women's division, because she, along with HIkaru Shida, were the best that they've had in AEW in a while. So... yeah, Big Swole's not there yet. Britt Baker is probably never going to get there. She's good. She's a great heel on the mic, but in the ring, she's just not there. But did anyone think that HIkaru Shida was losing this match? No. Running knee to the back of the head, then a sliding kick to the face, cover 1, 2, 3, and that was that. Here's my thing. What are they going to do next for HIkaru Shida? Well, obviously, they were not going to have her versus Nyla Rose yet. Nyla Rose is another one that, yeah, she had her best match, still to this day, was the match that she won the championship with against Riho. But it's just one of those things that her size and everyone else is like half her size, and she needs a lot. Like, one of the big disadvantages to AEW is a lot of the young guns, the young people like a Nyla Rose, like a Britt Baker, and others are not wrestling on the independent scenes. Yes, the indies are back. They're doing their thing. GCW's had a couple of shows. Yeah. I'm hoping that we can see better wrestling for the women. It's going to take a lot of time, and only having one show a week, or two if you count Dark. And even though Dark's been mostly just squash match after squash match, and that's not going to do much for you. Yeah, I'm just going to have to say that it's going to be hard for anybody to really want to invest in the women's division when you have HIkaru Shida and everyone else is 3, 4, 5 steps below her. Britt Baker will be in action next week. The opening round matches for the AEW tournament: Private Party versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds, Butcher and the Blade, the Young Bucks, to see who faces off against FTR at Full Gear. MJF and Chris Jericho meet for a steak dinner, and I'm sure more will be added as we get to the show, even though I'm sure we'll have 2 matches next week for the tournament, and then 2 matches the week after that, and then the semifinals will be on the go-home show. In 2 weeks, apparently, AEW TNT Champion versus Orange Cassidy again. So this time, though, I'm sure they'll expand it to a 30-minute time. I don't know, but Cody versus Orange Cassidy again in 2 weeks. Is it a little soon? Yes. But I guess they want to have that decision to say who's going to face Darby Allin at the pay-per-view on the go-home show. Or, yeah, the go-home show, right? Yeah, the go-home show. Vignette shown... Well, Eddie Kingston comes to commentary with the Lucha Bros. he's going to be on commentary for the main event, which he's still feuding with Jon Moxley. Vignette to show to Sean Mir saying he's not stalking Scorpio Sky, but he doesn't appreciate Sky getting involved in one of his moments when he went to attack Matt Sydal a few weeks ago. Spears says Sky now owes him a moment, and he plans on collecting. Well, if you watch AEW Dark, you know that Shawn Spears will be probably taking on Christopher Daniels next Tuesday. So maybe he'll collect then. I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see. Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer with John Roberts, no DQ match for the AEW World Title match. The only problem I have with this match is that it started at like 9:48. That's a 12-minute match. 12-minute match. 12 minutes. So they beat the hell out of each other in this match. Big, huge shots. Table set up. I thought they would go a little bit more violent than they actually did. Beating the hell out of each other. Moxley ends up putting him through, like, one of the big edicts, it seems like, in mainstream wrestling, which is AEW, WWE, New Japan and stuff, is like, if you set a table up, if you set a chair up in the corner, you gotta go through it. So Lance Archer put set 2 tables up, and he gets hit with the Death Rider through the table, but it wasn't enough. Moxley, with a sneak trip and locks in an ankle lock, Roberts helps pull Archer to the floor. Moxley goes for a suicide dive, eats a trash can. Moxley and Archer on the apron near the table. Moxley with a low blow, Death Rider through the tables. Moxley hits another one, cover 2. Goes right into the Bulldog choke. Archer is up and shoves Moxley into the corner. Moxley with a roll-up 2. Archer hits a DDT, throws him into the corner. Blackout hits. Blackout hits. Cover 1-2. Moxley counters into a 1-2-3 and gets the win. Holy shit. Moxley wins. Did I expect it to happen? Yeah. Was I expecting Archer to win? No. Should Archer, they got to be careful, though, with Archer, because this is his second title match this year, and he's lost. Clean, mostly. Yeah, it was clean. Both of them were clean. Archer's going to start being known as a guy who is a monster for the most part, but when it comes to a big match, he fails every single time. Archer, I don't know it's like, who's Jon Moxley going to face next? It doesn't look like it's going to be MJF. I had a feeling that, like, if Archer was to win this, Brian Cage could somehow become number 1 contender at Full Gear, and then you could have that Archer-Cage match that everybody's been wanting to see, that we haven't got yet. But nonetheless, it looks like we're going to have Eddie Kingston, because after the match, Archer kicks Moxley down. Kingston tells Phoenix and Penta to help him. Phoenix hits Archer with a chair. It doesn't do much as Archer heads to the back. Kingston tells Penta not to hit Moxley and tells the crowd to give it up for Mox. Kingston says they have known each other since 2009 and gone through a lot together. He says they had a great match, even though he didn't tap out, and he continues, it's been 1 year and Moxley has carried this company. He says he's proud of Moxley and raises his hand up. He throws a spinning back fist and locks in a rear naked choke. But Lucha Bros keep the officials back as Moxley goes to sleep. Kingston then takes the title and says he never tapped and he never quit against Moxley. So you know where this is going. Moxley versus Eddie Kingston 2 at Full Gear is most likely. Should he get another championship opportunity? Not really. He hasn't. Like, he officially, I guess you could say he didn't get eliminated from the Battle Royal. I said that on night 1. He got that opportunity. He lost clean. So why would he get another title shot? I guess revenge. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But we'll see what happens with this. But another good show. AEW just doing their thing and showing you what it's like to have a good show with storyline that actually seem to fucking matter. We'll have